What the hell is wrong with Joy?
Joy Taylor continuing to push this bullcrap race narrative. Caitlin Clark is more relevant because of Angel Reese.
Would not be talking about Caitlin Clark the way that we do if it wasn't for that moment with Angel Reese. And I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill.
Everyone is so reluctant to give Caitlin Clark her flowers in driving interest into the entire women's basketball game.
That is pure nonsense.
It's total BS. It's horseshit.
Just moments ago, Fox Sports analyst Joy Taylor went viral for all the wrong reasons. On live television, she made a bold and wildly controversial statement that has fans fuming. Angel Reese made Caitlin Clark famous. Yes, you read that right, in what's already being called one of the most disrespectful hot takes of the year. Joy downplayed Clark's legendary college run, record-breaking stats, and massive fan base, reducing it all to a rivalry moment. With Angel Reese, social media, instant chaos. Clark fans are furious. WNBA analysts are stunned. Even NBA players are chiming in. But was this just a clumsy hot take? Or is there a deeper media bias at play here? Why is Clark, one of the most accomplished college athletes in history, constantly having her legacy questioned? And what does this say about how women's sports, race, and fame are weaponized in the media? Get ready, because in this 3-part breakdown, we're unpacking every angle of the clip, the backlash, the facts, and the real agenda behind Joy Taylor's now infamous take. It was supposed to be just another hot take segment on live TV, but instead, Joy Taylor lit a match. That ignited a wildfire. Sitting confidently on the Fox Sports set, she looked directly into the camera and said something that instantly divided the sports world. Angel Reese made Caitlin Clark famous. The studio fell silent. The internet, it exploded. Social media, feeds were flooded within minutes. Clark's fans were stunned. Analysts began pulling stats. Hashtags like #RespectCaitlin, #JoyTaylor out of pocket, and #Angel did not make her started trending. But why did this one sentence cause such an uproar? Because it wasn't just a sports opinion, it was a rewriting of history, a bold, dismissive claim about one of the most dominant college players of all time, the college legend Caitlin Clark's rise before Angel Reese ever waved her hand or pointed to a ring finger. Caitlin Clark was already a star, NCAA record holder for most 3-pointers, first player to 3,000+ points and 1,000+ assists. Packed arenas everywhere Iowa played. She didn't need anyone to make her. She built her brand on deep threes, killer court vision, and highlight reel performances that drew in millions. Clark's college dominance became appointment television. People didn't tune in because of drama, they tuned in to see greatness. The LSU-Iowa moment, a flashpoint. Not a foundation. The 2023 NCAA championship game between LSU and Iowa was historic. Angel Reese's "you can't see me" gesture went viral. The narrative took off. Reese as the unapologetic trash talker. Clark as the golden girl of college hoops. But here's the truth. That rivalry moment amplified the spotlight. It didn't create it. Joy Taylor's take ignored a full season of Clark outshining every defense thrown at her, of setting scoring records, of becoming a media magnet all on her own. Saying Reese made her famous not only disrespects Clark's resume, it also reframes the story through a conflict-first, drama-driven lens, a pattern of downplaying Clark. This isn't the first time the media or certain personalities have minimized Caitlin Clark's rise, despite breaking viewership records and bringing a massive new audience to women's hoops. Clark's fame is often met with skepticism. Is she overhyped? Does she deserve this attention? What about the other players? It's as if success, particularly her success,
Angel Reese is nowhere near the level of Caitlin Clark, both in terms of basketball talent and mainstream drawing power.
must be constantly explained away or tied to someone else. Why? The racial and cultural undercurrents? Let's not pretend. There's no subtext here. Joy Taylor's comments tapped into a deeper, ongoing debate about race, media bias, and narrative control in women's sports. Angel Reese, a Black athlete with unapologetic confidence, has become a symbol of empowerment for many, and rightfully so. Caitlin Clark, a white athlete in a predominantly Black league, is navigating a spotlight rarely seen in women's sports. And with that spotlight comes tension about privilege, perception, and media priorities. But instead of having that nuanced conversation, Joy reduced it to a soundbite, one that seemed designed more to provoke than to inform. The real issue, pitting women against each other, this isn't just about Joy versus Clark, or Clark versus Reese. It's about how women's sports, especially when finally getting mainstream attention, are still framed through conflict, not celebration. Instead of letting two young stars thrive together, the media pushes division. Who's better? Who's real? Who's responsible for the growth? But here's the truth. Both Clark and Reese have changed the game. Together. Joy Taylor's comment, intentional or not, distracted from that progress and reignited a toxic narrative that fans are exhausted by. What happens next? The backlash is far from over. Clark hasn't responded publicly, but her fans are flooding the replies. Joy Taylor has yet to clarify or apologize. Meanwhile, media outlets are fanning the flames, debating the quote, hosting panels, and pulling receipts. And at the center of it all is Caitlin Clark, once again facing a media storm she didn't create while simply trying to hoop. Within hours of Joy Taylor's viral comment, the internet split into factions, and it got ugly. One side passionately defended Caitlin Clark, citing her stats, viewership poll, and cultural relevance. The other defended Angel Reese, arguing that media bias and race play a huge role in how attention is distributed. Ends somewhere in the middle. Thousands of fans exhausted by the nonstop drama, TikTok, Twitter, and Threads. The digital war zone, TikTok. Creators were quick to respond. Sports influencers stitched Joy Taylor's clip with receipts of Clark's historical dominance. One user said, "This isn't even about Angel versus Caitlin, it's about basic respect." Joy Taylor disrespected greatness. On Twitter, former athletes, reporters, and even NBA players began weighing in. One tweet from an ex-WNBA player read, "Caitlin didn't need anyone to make her famous. That girl brought in ratings on her own." But the comment threads got heated fast. Words like privilege, racism, media manipulation, and double standards were thrown around nonstop. The media joins the circuses always. The media couldn't resist. Sports debate shows spent entire segments.
The only thing Joy Taylor really accomplished here is embarrassing herself.
Segments dissecting Joy's comment. Some tried to defend it as contextual, claiming Joy meant that the Reese-Clark rivalry elevated both players. But the tone, delivery, and wording told another story. Others were more critical. Joy just handed the anti-WNBA crowd their new weapon. This is why women's sports can't grow constant infighting. Instead of pushing forward, this controversy dragged the conversation backward. Agenda or accident? Some fans believe Joy Taylor's take was a calculated move, a way to stir controversy and boost ratings. Hot takes generate clicks, and the formula is simple. Pit women against each other, sprinkle in race, and let the chaos ensue. But others argue she was simply careless, speaking off the cuff without realizing the full weight of her words. Either way, the impact was the same. It minimized Caitlin Clark's individual accomplishments and reignited unnecessary division in a space already struggling for unity. Clark's silence, strategic or stifled? So far, Caitlin Clark has remained silent. No tweets, no press conference rebuttals. Just business as usual on the court. But fans wonder, is she staying quiet to remain professional? Or because she feels pressure not to defend herself for fear of being labeled entitled or soft. In today's media environment, silence is often the only winning play. Speak out and you're accused of complaining. Say nothing and your name gets dragged regardless. A flashpoint in a larger story, this entire controversy from Joy's comment to the online reactions is about more than one moment. It's a flashpoint in a larger ongoing conversation. Who controls the narrative in women's sports? Why is the media so quick to reduce women's achievements to drama? And how can the WNBA support rising stars without tearing others down? Clark and Reese have both elevated the game. They've both drawn in new fans. But every time the media pits them against each other, the sport loses ground up. Up next, will Joy Taylor issue a clarification? Will Clark eventually speak up? And what does this moment say about how we promote and protect female athletes in the spotlight? Moving forward, how women's basketball can heal, unite, and rise above the noise the dust still hasn't settled from Joy Taylor's now infamous comment. But it's clear, this moment has exposed deeper fractures within the culture of women's basketball. And it's time to talk about healing, beyond the soundbites. Women's sports, especially basketball, are finally on the rise. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Juju Watkins, and others have brought unprecedented attention, viewership, and investment into the WNBA and NCAA. But with visibility comes vulnerability. The media can't keep defaulting to lazy narratives that pit women against each other for ratings. If women's basketball is going to grow, it needs storytelling rooted in respect, not rivalry. Joy Taylor's comment can't be erased. But it can be a turning point if we choose to elevate the conversation beyond hot takes. Clark and Reese, two stars, one game. It's time we stop pretending these two athletes are polar opposites. They're different, yes, in style, background, and energy, but both are elite competitors who've made the game more exciting, more relatable, and more watched on. Imagine the power of a league that lifts them both together, not in opposition. Instead of who made who, the better question is, what can they build together? The league's role, the WNBA and NCAA, both have a massive responsibility now. They allow toxic comparisons and media provocations to define the next generation of women's basketball. They risk stunting its momentum. Invest in media literacy and athlete protection.
Taylor, and I'm gonna read this, stood 10 toes down on the Joe Budden podcast when speaking on her stance that the media would not be talking about Caitlin Clark had she not had that moment with Angel Reese.